Welcome everybody to another meeting of Roseburg Speakers and Storytellers. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are at in the world. It is nice to see this many smiling faces here. A couple of things real quick. You guys know the rules, but let's just go over it. Number one, please mute yourself when you're not speaking. Number two, please stay on camera if at all possible, because it's a much more engaging meeting when we can see everybody. If you have a role, please change your name to reflect your role. Other than that, guests, you are welcome to participate in table topics. Christina is table topics master, so reach out to her. Let's have fun. This is going to be a great meeting. Welcome everybody, and I will turn it over to our lovely and talented president, Miss Yasmin Talwala.
Thank you so much. Welcome everyone. It is a very special meeting today because I see so many of us and we are back. Yeah, RSS is back. So it is a good sign that the summer has arrived maybe, or we are now back in the mode of getting to normality, not the COVID normality, the new normality, but yes, very, very glad. I am seeing some of the Toastmasters who have, and some of the guests, welcome guests, and I would like to extend special welcome to those who are joining us for the first time. If you could just let us know in very briefly about yourself, and if you are already a Toastmaster, or if so, which club you come from. We will be very glad to learn a little bit more about you. I'm just going to go in the order of the way I see people on my screen, and I see Hung first. Hung? Am I pronouncing it correctly? Huang Li? Huang Li? Can you unmute yourself?
I'm sorry, are you asking me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry because my English is not good enough to understand all of you. So sometimes maybe you ask me, but I don't know that you are asking me. So I'm sorry for that. I'm trying to improve my English. So just let me listen only. Is it okay?
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us, Huang. And just to make you feel comfortable, English is not either my first language and is not the first language of many of us. So we are all on the same board. Please feel free. Don't be hesitant. Don't feel that you are stressed because you cannot understand. I also cannot understand many, many things. So
Yeah.
you are yet welcome.
Yeah, I know that many of you are not the native speaker, but I admire your English because I think when I listen to you, I think that all of you are native speakers. So I admire you very much, and I will try to so that my English will be better. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you
for the compliment, Wang. And I feel the same for you. I feel that you are also a very proficient speaker. I don't accept that you don't know English. Moving on, I'm just gonna invite Stefan to maybe introduce himself very quickly. Stefan?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So let me briefly introduce myself quickly. So I came from Guangdong province. I currently live in Zhuhai. It's a very beautiful city. It's close to the beach, also close to Macau. And I joined Meta 4 years ago. So as I mentioned just now, I'm right now in charge of the quality team. And we launched several products for smart speaker proto products. Right now, I'm working on the wearable products right now. Yeah, so that's about me. Thank you.
Thank you.
And great to see you all today.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you. We are very glad you joined us, and we really appreciate your work because we live on Facebook. Moving on, I see Dave. Dave, would you take us a few seconds to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Deb Peterson. I'm in Texas, and you see my state flower behind me. I met IU at the convention in Nashville, and she invited me to your meeting. So I decided to join you this morning.
Thank you so much, Dave, and what an excitement. So thank you for bringing Dave, and we are sure that we are going to learn so much from you, Dave. So please feel free to give us feedback towards the end of the meeting. We really would appreciate it. I see Selena. Selena, are you here with us? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, I'm actually my grandmother is actually Michelle. She invited me to this meeting just to sit in and watch.
Oh, that's nice, Selena. Oh, we will love to see you. So you are more than welcome to wait, to watch, listen, and participate. And we will love to see you and feel your smile. So please feel free to enable your video if you are okay. I hope I haven't missed any of the new guests, like who are visiting us for first time. But having said that, we equally respect our senior guest and welcome Stephen. And
your guest. Yeah.
Thank you.
likewise,
Thank you so much.
all the members, I'm very glad that some of us are joining after a long time. So special mention to Seni. Where is she? She was here just a few minutes before I saw Seni. Okay.
Cindy's there.
Is she there? Oh, yes, Seni.
Akib is here too.
Welcome. Yeah, welcome, Seni. Julie, welcome. Akib, you are also there, so welcome. I will just like to move on for the next session, but I would have to get you all be assured that today is going to be very, very special meeting because it's going to be run on the theme we would all going to love for sure. And what we would love is our Toastmaster of the day, which needs special mention because she lives and comes from the place where our club belongs to. So we are Roseburg speakers and storytellers, and we proudly present the Toastmaster of the day, Deja, who comes from Roseburg, and she is the new member, relatively new member to RSS, but in a very short period, she has taken up great responsibilities. She is the VP PR, Public Relation, VP, Vice President of Public Relationship with RSS. And she has always surprised us with her intelligence and calm style. So with this, I would like to really invite Deja and lead the meeting. Please help me welcome Deja.
Thank you, Yasmin. That was a wonderful introduction. Hello, all. My name is Deja Stanley, and I am your Toastmaster of the day. Today's theme is celebrating where you are from. I chose it because I wanted to learn more about the members of my club. I wanted to learn more about all of you. I want to hear about where you are from. Tell me about why you love it, why it is special to you, or what it is known for. I am from Orange County, California. It is known for beaches, palm trees, and Disneyland. From the time I was a child to young adult, I visited Disneyland at least once a year. I loved it. Now that I live in Oregon, I have not been in years, but Oregon itself is a different type of theme park. It's more of an outdoor adventure type of theme park. I will introduce our meeting participants who will introduce their roles for the meeting. To start us off, our grammarian is Sarah. Sarah, please introduce yourself and your role and share something positive with us about where you are from.
Thank you, Deja. I'm Mexican. I was born and raised in Mexico, but to be honest, now I've lived so long in Germany, and I have lived in a couple of countries for quite some time that when I go back home, I don't really feel like 100% at home. I miss my country for sure. I miss the landscape, the mountains, the weather, but there's always something missing about being abroad. But anyways, I enjoy being in Mexico or being abroad. And that's why Roseburg Speakers and Storytellers is so good to me, because I meet people from all around the world and I really enjoy it. Today, in my role as a grammarian, I will have 2 tasks. And one of them will be a real challenge for me because I'm not a native speaker. So I need to really pay attention to all the words that are very good that I like, so that I can share at the end, and also some other that can be improved. And my second task will be share with you the word of the day, which will be vivacious. This is an adjective and it means lively in temper, conduct, or spirit. Some synonyms are energetic and enthusiastic. So I encourage you to use this word. I will paste it in the chat. And every time that you participate, please use it. Thank you, and back to you, Deya.
Thank you, Sarah. Mexico, I've seen videos. I love to watch food documentaries. So when I watch those, there's a lot of times that they show Oaxaca and Mexico City food, and they always seem like vivacious places. Next is our counter, Yasmin. Yasmin, please introduce yourself and your role and share something positive about where you're from.
I come from a very beautiful city in India. I come from the state called Rajasthan, which would translate as to a royal state. And my city is called as the City of Lakes. So Rajasthan is a desert area. It's a dryland area historically, because now the weather is changing and it's flooding there as we speak. But historically, it's a dry land. And this is special city because the king then had more than 7 man-made lakes so that people could live there. And that's how it got its name, City of Lakes. So my city is really known for lakes and beautiful palaces. In case you visit India, don't miss on the city called Udaipur. And now coming to my role for the day, I'm going to be your counter. So during the meeting, I will take note of the words which are so-called filler words. Filler words are the words which we tend to speak when we are building our thought process of speaking. And in between, we use these words like so, you know, and these words break the flow of the speech and are distractive to the listener. So efficient speakers would have a control on the filler words. I'm almost certain we are in amongst the group of very efficient speakers, but having said that, I will try to live my role of finding out how many fillers we are using, and I will report towards the end of the meeting. So that's how it is. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Yasmin. Next, I will introduce our timer. Our timer is Melva. Melva, please introduce yourself and your role and something about where you're from.
Hi, okay, thank you, Deja. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Toastmasters and dear guests. I'm Melva. I'm from Indonesia, and we have a lot of ethnic groups in here, probably more than 100. So we have traditional languages. And right now I'm in Batak ethnic. That is most people in here Batak, and that's far from my home base in Medan. And my role is as timer. We record the time of your speech, and as we know, we have one speaker, that is Tiger. He will be speaking for 5 to 7 minutes. And the next for topic session for a participant, you will need speaking 1 to 2 minutes. And for evaluator, you need to speak 2 to 3 minutes. If I show you green, it means minimum speaking. Yellow for warning, and red for ending or wrap up your speaking. And I'll give you 30 seconds to wrap it. I think that's it. Back to you, Deja.
Thank you, Melva. Next is our general evaluator, Julie. Julie, can you introduce yourself, your role, and something about where you're from?
General evaluator evaluated the meeting in the hall, introduced the evaluators, as I had heard in this meeting. I am living now in London, and I lived before 45 years in France, 3 in America, but I am from Transylvania, Dracula country, a Hungarian from Romania. So
Thank you, Julie.
English is my fourth language.
Thank you. Next, we have, I don't think we've had any repeated countries so far. That is exciting to me. Our meeting agenda overview, we will have a prepared speech. We were going to show, originally on the agenda, we were going to show the contest speech. But since we have so many participants today, and I'm very excited to hear from as many as possible, we are going to go from the speech straight to table topics. And then after that, we will have the general evaluation. So I will go ahead and move straight to our speaker number 1, Tiger Mcandy. His project title, You Have More to Give. Tiger, take it away. Oh, and introduce yourself with something about where you are from.
I was born in St. Helens, Oregon. At the time, it was famous for 2 things. It had a brand new hospital and it had a large paper mill, neither of which exist anymore. The hospital could not overcome the auspicious start of me. I was the first baby born there.
Wow.
It is now basically a place where people live and commute into Portland to go to work. Beautiful place, right on the Willamette River. Give me 1 second. You have to excuse me, I'm just getting over COVID, so hopefully I can get through 7 minutes without coughing.
Do we have a cough counter?
Timer, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
You have more to give. These were the last words that my mother said to me before dying in my arms. More to give? I had no money. I had no job, no female companionship. And worst of all, I had no meaning and no hope. The day after her funeral, I drove to the coast. As I got to the coast, the universe gave me a sign that my plan was going to work. You see, I had contemplated driving off a cliff at this place at the coast many times over the last 2 or 3 years, but this time was different. This time I had nobody counting on me. As I neared the cliff where I was going to end my life, I apologized to my mom out loud. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm tired. I don't have any more to give. My mind was at peace. The next morning, I woke up, grabbed a cup of coffee, went out on the back porch. And as I was watching the beautiful sunrise, it dawned on me, I'm still alive. How can that be? I was watching the sunrise. It dawned on me. Then I heard a soft male voice. Suicide is selfish. It's not your time. You have more to give. Well, as you can imagine, the next few days, I was discombobulated. I was confused. And then I got that phone call. Have you ever gotten that phone call? The one that has the ability to turn everything around? It was my former Toastmaster mentor, and she informed me that there was an online storytelling club that wanted to meet me. I had nothing to lose, so I went. I was warmly welcomed, and it was a fantastic meeting. I was invited by the president to join the club, ergo, I joined. Now, my icebreaker was quite the adventure. I talked about riding my bike, and I talked about playing American football. I talked about cutting trees in the woods. Yeah. My evaluator very calmly stated, Tiger, that was a fantastic story. It's too bad we missed half of it because you were off camera half the time and you never slowed down and let us laugh. With some coaching from that evaluator, I went on to win the club's humor contest. This gave me back a sense of confidence. After that, I was invited to join a small local club that was struggling. It got down after a few months. There was only 3 of us. And the president, who was a large young man, informed us that he had been deployed to Africa. He put his hand on my shoulder and he said, Tiger, you are now the president. And as I looked at the 2 of them, I'm thinking to myself, the president of what? My partner, being an eternal optimist, decided we're going to turn this club into an online success. This was before COVID. My thought was, this is preposterous. We did have several meetings, 6 to 8 people online from around the world, and then COVID hit. Imagine COVID being a positive thing for a Toastmaster club. Soon we were having meetings of 30 people and we turned the club into an international success. And here you are. Isn't that awe-inspiring? Yasmin, that's awe with the A-W-E, not A-H. After this, opportunities just started to flow in. I got invited to sponsor a club whose theme was fun. That was quite an adventure. The highlight of this club was we don't have an ah counter, we have a ha-ha counter. And I came to realize I can give by making people laugh. Now, I'd love to tell you that I got involved with leadership at the district level just to give back. But the truth is, I did it to impress a woman. Oh, come on now. I know all of you have done this at one time in your life or another. I have been able to give. I have met many positive people and I have established numerous lifelong friends. but the amount that I have given is minuscule compared to what I have received in return. I've got my life back. When I look at other people, I don't know where you're at in your life. Hopefully things are good for you right now. Maybe you're lost, maybe you're confused, feel stuck. Maybe you're depressed. The only thing I know for sure is that you, all of you, have more to give. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tiger. That was a fantastic speech. I think every time I hear you speak, I recognize how much of an actual storyteller you are. You are so very good at telling stories, and you really embody this Roseburg Speakers and Storytellers Club. All right, next we are moving on to our table topics. Christina, would you mind introducing yourself, your role, and a little bit about where you're from?
Hello, Toastmasters, and welcome guests. I'm from England. I grew up in Nottingham. Has anyone here heard of Robin Hood? He was from Nottingham Forest. So that was my hometown. I left when I was 18 and I lived in London for many years. And now I'm in leafy Berkshire, which is west of London. So it's past Windsor. And it's very leafy and very green, and it's starting to rain a little bit now. So our drought is over, which is wonderful. And it's my pleasure to be your table topics master today. So what a fabulous theme that we have for today's meeting for celebrating where you're from. So to just go back to what table topics is, it's the opportunity to practice impromptu speaking. And I think so many times in our lives, whether at work or in the rest of life, we've been asked to say a few words. And how many of us have gone silent or thought, what the hell am I going to say? Only to go home and later have some brilliant idea of what we failed to say at the time. So now is the time to practice. So to give you a heads up on today's topics, we're going to have a culinary tour of some wonderful places. We're going to be a tourist and we're going to explore some of these amazing cities, countries, any place that you might like. We're going to perhaps hear about some nature or some vivacious festival around the world. So you have the opportunity to speak for between 1 and 2.5 minutes. The green light will come on at 1 minute, the yellow at 1.5 minutes, and the red light at 2 minutes, and you'll have 30 seconds to wrap up. So we've got some really interesting places and experiences to hear about.
May I ask a question?
Sure, Julie.
Do we have a table topic evaluator?
No, we don't.
Who evaluates the table topic?
We don't normally have a table topic evaluator, but I know in England it's something that we usually do have. If you'd like to incorporate that into your GE role, I think that would be a fabulous experience for everybody. Would you like to take that on, Julie?
Christina, I can volunteer to do that.
Lovely, thank you, Yasmin, brilliant. Good call, Julie. So I'm going to start off with some of our members who don't currently have a role. So I'd like to start off with, she's just gone, okay. I'd like to, oh yes, she's back on now. Mary, I believe that you live in a wonderful city that I've had the privilege to visit. There's so many places to see. It's a very exciting city. If we were going to come to Washington, D.C., where would you recommend that we go and visit? And what is it that you love about it? Please share that with us. Oh, wow.
Thank you. I actually was trying to put a little slideshow together for the benefit of our guests. And those of you that are not familiar with Washington, D.C., it's the nation's capital for the United States. And I was going to show you, this is where our president lives. It's called the White House in Washington, D.C. And here's a picture of our city in Washington, D.C. In the front, you'll see the Capitol building. That's where all our government laws are made. And then on the other end, in the back, you'll see, it looks like a pencil. That's called the Washington Monument. That is a very well-known monument that people, when they come to Washington, D.C. And then in between is this grassy area called the, oh gosh, I lost it, what it's called. But you walk along between it and you can see both things. So that's a very famous look at our Washington, D.C. So to answer your question, could you repeat the question again? Let me stop sharing because I was trying to get this ready for you when you called me. Could you repeat the question? Can you unmute?
Having a little psychic connection here, Mary. You live in a wonderful city. There's so many places to see. If we were to visit, what is it that you'd recommend we go visit? And what is it that you love about it?
Okay, that I think I answered some of that by important monuments and places to see, but there also is a wealth of museums throughout the city. Most of them are free. So you can actually spend a day and not spend any money if you're a little short on cash. Most of our museums are free to the public. Now, during COVID, they were closed for quite a while, but I understood now that they're open. And there might be a movie you may have seen called The Night of the Smithsonian. And that is the Smithsonian Museum that is in the United States that you could actually go in and see some of the things that you would have seen in that movie. So it's a wonderful city. I'm very proud to be from Washington, D.C., and I hope you will get an opportunity to come visit us sometime. I'm only an hour away, I could meet you. So back to you, Christina.
Thank you, Mary. That was wonderful. We have a whole whirlwind tour here. I'm so excited to hear what everyone has to say. Next up, I'd like to invite Ayu to the stage, please. Ayu, I know that you want to see more of all of us and to meet us in person. Tell us about the delights of Bali as a holiday destination and what you think that we'd most like to see or what we'd most like to eat. Well, please welcome Ayu to the stage.
Something to eat? Of course! Bali is well known with two kinds of food that all Balinese proud to share with all over the world. The first one called ayam betutu, that's in Indonesia, or we call it betutu chicken. So it's chicken with Balinese herbs. And if you ask me about Balinese herb or Indonesian herbs or Asian herbs, there's so many herbs in one dish. Sometimes it can be 27 of them mixed together and still tastes very good. The next one is suckling pig. The first time I eat the suckling pig, I said, wow, this is so delicious. But I suggest you to never see how they cook it because it's a whole pig and cook on top of a fire, usually from wood. And when it's from the coconut or the coconut shell, they use the coconut shell, the taste very different. The sweetness, the juiciness. Oh, everybody get hungry now. Well, Bali famous with one mountain. We call it Agung Mountain. And we are also famous with the diving spot. The water surround Bali. The most special things about Bali, even though there are earthquakes, we are always safe. Why? Because the islands is surrounded by a lot of sand. So the sand absorbs the movement and that saves us. Fun fact. Thank you for asking, Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Ayu. That was fabulous. We've learned about food, we've learned about the geography, and we've also learned about earthquake protection. Wow, this is fascinating. And next up, I'd like to call one of our guests who has the most beautiful backdrop on her screen. I know that she's been with us before in the meeting. Seni, would you like to do a table topic? Seni, please tell us either about your backdrop or somewhere about where you live and, you know, why we'd either like to visit or what we'd like to eat when we come there. Please welcome to the stage, Seni.
Thank you, Madam Table Topic Master, Christina. Hello, everyone. Can you guys guess where is this place?
Indonesia.
Yes, absolutely. This is called Lake Toba in North Sumatra Island in Indonesia. So this Lake Toba is one of the largest lakes in Southeast Asia, as well as one of the deepest lake in the world. I'm sure that all of you have heard about Lake Toba, even though not all of you have visited this spot. But when you visit Sumatra Island, you should and you must visit this place because this is one of the nature wonder of the world. And when you get here, you will taste many spicy food because spicy, the chili, they are represent the Sumatra Island. So when you go to another island like Bali or Java, you won't taste any spicy food. But when you enter the Sumatra Island, especially on the way to this beautiful lake, every store, every shops that you met, every restaurant that you drop, you will only got spicy food. And another interesting things that you must try is eat with your fingers. that is a challenging eating rules for non-Indonesians, non-Asians, and you should try it. So I think that's all that I can introduce to you from North Sumatra, Indonesia. Thank you, Madam Topic Master. Back to you.
Thank you, Seni. That was wonderful. This is such a lovely theme today. Well, we've touched on Asia a little bit. I'd actually like to go back to the States and I'd like to invite Deb to tell us a little bit about Texas and what it is that we need to know about Texas. And we've got a lovely flower there I'd like to know some more about. Please welcome to the stage, Deb.
Well, thank you, Madam Topics Master. Yes, I live in Texas. And behind me, you will see the beautiful bluebonnets, which bloom in the spring. And the little red flowers that you see among them are called Indian paintbrush, and they also bloom at the same time. In Texas, we have just about everything. We have beaches. We have mountains in the west part of Texas. We have a canyon, Paladura Canyon in the Panhandle, which is Not quite the Grand Canyon, but it's pretty impressive. We have deserts, we have forests, we have just about any kind of landscape you would like to see. And we are a very large state. I think that if you want to come and visit Texas, you definitely want to go to the beaches in Galveston or Corpus Christi, and you want to eat chicken fried steak, and you want to eat our version of Mexican food, which we call Tex-Mex. And I would love to show you around. I live halfway between Dallas and Fort Worth, very close to the DFW airport. So if you're ever in the DFW airport and you've got a long layover, give me a call and I'll just hop right over there and get you. Thank you, madam. Oh, and I want to say that I'm very impressed with how vivaciously everyone has been describing their home. Back to you, Madam Topics Master.
Thank you, Deb. I'm just loving this whirlwind tour. And I don't know about anybody else, but I'm getting very hungry and I've only just had lunch. So next up, I'd like to go to Europe. So I'd like to invite Sarah to tell us about some of her favorite places. It sounds like she's got lots to choose from. So I'm intrigued to know where we're going to go next. Please welcome to the stage, Sarah.
Thank you, Christina. Well, I'm living now for 2 years in Berlin, the capital of Germany. And always when my friends from Mexico tell me that they find the city very exciting and what should they visit, I recommend them some spots in the city. Number 1, the Brandenburg Door, which is this famous gate on the city, on the middle of the city, when you can take photos and even stamp your passport with old German stamps and get photos with the old policy there and so on. So that's one of my favorite spots. The other famous spot in the city is the East Side Gallery, which is the longest open gallery in the world. I think where you can find rest of the old wall between East and West Berlin, and you can also find very nice paintings and urban art. And my other favorite spot is the Republic building, which is where the government in Germany is seated, so that you can go in a visit for tourists that are offered in many languages. It's a very vivacious tour, so that I can recommend you these 3 points. First, your photo in the Brandenburg Gate. Second, the East Side Gallery. And third, a nice tour in the Republic building. Back to you, Christina.
Thank you, Sarah. That was wonderful. Gosh, I hadn't even thought about customs stamps. It's a long time since we've had those in Europe. Next up, I'd like to have a little trip back to Asia. And I'd like to invite Stephen, our senior guest, to come and talk to us. Chinese food is some of my favorite, but our definition of Chinese food might be very different to your definition of Chinese food. So could you tell us about your very favorite dishes, please? Please welcome to the stage, Stephen.
Thank you. There are so many types of food in China. The top 4 are like Sichuan food, Shandong food, Hunan food, and what's the other one? Oh, Guangdong food, Canton food. One of my favorite is Cantonese food. Why? Because it's delicious. So my favorite Cantonese food is goose. I'm not so sure if you guys have ever had that before. It's called roasted goose. It's very popular here. And the most popular one is actually made like they use this special fruit. It's called lychee, the lychee tray. You know, they use the lychee tray and as the source or that like the fire to cook for this roast goose. This is very sweet, a little bit sweet and juicy, very, very delicious. I would recommend it to you guys to try. Another thing about, actually I have lots of food I like. It's Sichuan food, spicy food, which is also very popular in China. The most famous one is called the fried chicken with like red chili. So that's the top, like on my top list. I would also recommend it to you guys. If you guys ever come to China, I'm a foodie myself, so I would show you around. I know where they have good food. So if you ever come to China, ping me. Yeah, I will show you around and get some good food. Yeah, welcome to China. Back to you.
Thank you, Stephen. What lovely invitations we're all getting today. Next up, I'd like to stay in Asia, and I'd like to invite Kanang to do a topic, please. Kanang, what is it that you'd like us to know about Cambodia? I know that you've got an amazing city, Angkor Wat, but you may want to tell us about some food or some vivacious festivals, or what is it that we need to know about Cambodia for those of us that haven't visited? I'm one of the people that haven't visited. Please welcome to the stage, Kanang.
Thank you, Christina. Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm so thankful for Mary and you and everybody that give me a warm welcome. What I would I want to tell people about Cambodia is that the Angkor Wat is an amazing temple, and we have a food, Cambodian food, like some soup, like some cocoa, cocoa soup, and especially children. When the foreigner come to Cambodia, they would love the children, especially children from the countryside. They would love because they are lovely and friendly to the foreigners. When they see any foreigner, they say that, wow, they meet their friends, even though they are friend people. And they are so happy when they saw foreigners. And the other thing is that I think maybe Cambodian culture, because our Cambodian is that we like give a warm welcome to the people from the other countries, no matter what they have come from, Asian or Western. We love them both. Thank you.
Thank you, Kanang. Gosh, we're having such a lovely welcome from all over the world. Disha, do we have time for one or two more topics?
I will defer that question to our timer. Melva, how are we doing on time?
We can have one speaker or participant to answer your question, Christina.
Okay, thanks, Melva, much appreciated. Well, I think bearing in mind our geographic bias, I think we should stay in Asia for this one. Is Yalan still there? Would Yalan like to come and tell us about your region in China and what it is that we need to look out for, what sites there are? You have a beautiful background too. Please welcome to the stage, Yalan.
Thank you, Christina. Well, I'm not the expert on Canton. I am from southern part of China, which is about an hour and a half from Hong Kong. So a lot of our food are similar to what we can get in Hong Kong, if any of you has visited Hong Kong. But I'm not a big fan of Cantonese food, so I'm sorry. I'm a huge fan of Sichuan foods. Thank you, Sunny, for bringing that up. My favorite food is hot pot, the spicy numbness hot pot. It's very addicting, and I can eat it 365 days of the year, every day, no doubt. Okay, I'm getting really hungry. You started this. What am I going to say? Okay, so the theory of hot pot, which means you can, there is a big boiling broth, and we can usually choose if you can have like clear broth, tomato broth, or what I usually get is the spicy one, the very, very spicy one that makes you like sweat and makes you feel like, oh my gosh, why did I do this? But it's very, very good. And you can choose any type of meat. I usually go for the beef, and I put it 7 times and it's done. And you have your dipping sauces. You can choose any type of sauces we have, going from peanut butter to olive oil, whatever. There are a ton of sauces that you can mix up and make your own signature dipping. And you dip the meat inside and then you taste it. Oh, it is so good. No, this is unbelievable. I can't believe I'm doing this at midnight. But if you guys would, if there's one type of food that you have to try, it is definitely hot pot. It is famous and it is good no matter where you go. And welcome to China.
Thank you, Yalan. How wonderful. I've not personally tried spicy hot pot. When I was growing up, my aunt lived in Hong Kong, so basically I'll eat anything. But what wonderful topics that we had. Thank you so much for everybody who participated. And I'm going to hand back to our Toastmaster of the day, Deja.
Thank you, Topics Master Christina. That was a vivacious round of topics. It is now time for our evaluation portion of the meeting. Julie is our general evaluator. Julie, could you take us through the evaluation? You'll need to unmute yourself. There we go.
We had a volunteer for table topic evaluation, and I would ask her to tell us.
Thank you. It's me, Yasmin, Julia.
Yasmin.
I'm here, yeah. So I'm gonna be the table topic evaluator. I was so much mesmerized and lost in the world of food and culture and beauty. And I was almost enjoying everyone's invite. So this is the starting point. The beauty of thing was that because we had the common subject, all of us could talk about that subject, and it was very interesting as an evaluator to see how we present our own city, the same subject, but how we present it differently. The common thing I noticed amongst all of us is that we were very passionate about when we were speaking. I don't think any of us struggled with talking 1 minute to match up the time. The underlying message is that if we really connect and feel to the subject, we can talk about it just losing the track of the time. But we did not do this. None of you even went beyond time. So kudos in terms of making it to 1 minute and not even over timing yourself. The second very common thing all of us had is the welcome note towards the end. We all said, you are welcome to come and experience it. So we want to make whatever we say generic. I have to bring out Mary and Sarah because they did not forget to wrap up what they are telling towards the message to the whole message towards the end. So kudos for knowing that we have to wrap up what we say. The other special mention is how we say. How we say is equally important as to what we say. For that, there are two ways of how we say. We use the right gesture. And if it is about giving credit for using right gestures, I have to credit it to Ayu, because she was on dot whenever she will say anything, like two mountains, properly sort of earthquakes. So gestures help. The other way to say it is to pace it. If we pace and go slow, then also we communicate our message. And the one who won the game in terms of pacing properly is Sarah. I felt that she was very slowly and calmly talking, and Stephen as well paced. Oh, sorry, it's Dave who paced very well. She was slow, which is quite interesting for us because we tend to struggle when we hear a native speaker. They go very, very fast. And for us, it was very interesting to see how a native speaker could also pace and talk. The other beautiful thing is the use of the background. I think this is a beauty we have with online meetings, that we can pop up a good background and make the story more vivacious. And Seni did a great job in that. Seni and Dave, yes, they did a very good job in that. As to what we could have done better, it's a common message to everyone. I know it was very difficult given the subject, but yes, if we would have made a story, we would have lived the name. If we would have narrated it in some historical way. Sarah attempted doing that. She said like, okay, if my friends would come, I would take her to these 2-3 places. But yeah, I know it is not always possible, but if possible, one recommendation would be to make a story around things. I hope I haven't forgotten anything, but I would like to say that I'm very impressed with the confidence of Kunang. I can see a huge development from her since very beginning. And that's pretty much from my notes, and I give it back to you, General Evaluator Julie.
Thank you. I would like now to introduce our evaluator, Michelle Albalim, who will evaluate Tiger's speech.
Thank you very much, Julie. And Tiger, thank you for that wonderful story. Somebody had already commented that you are a great storyteller, and I definitely agree. I love the title. When I heard the title, You Have More to Give, I was already intrigued. I was wondering, what is he going to talk about? It was a very intriguing title. I'm sorry. And you had a dramatic start when your mom passed away, and she said you have more to give. A dramatic start. And you went on. I like your ending when you tied it back to the beginning and you encouraged all of us. You had a call to action for all of us to realize that we all have more to give. Now, you're a great storyteller. We all know that. So in terms of how to make the story better, I will defer to people who are more experienced with that, like our general evaluator. I did want to offer a couple of suggestions. One, when you were starting and talking about you drove to the coast after your mom died, and you said something about drive off a cliff. I got a bit lost. I don't know if it's because I didn't have enough coffee yet, but I couldn't figure out, okay, so we're going to drive off the cliff, but then you woke up the next day, or you woke up, you didn't say the next day, you said you woke up and you saw the sunrise. So was that a dream that you drove to the coast? I wasn't sure. And I might just be the only one who couldn't string that part together. But for me, I was confused on that. So that was the point. And then, and I think I'm doing it right now, hand gestures. Be careful with your hand gestures. Sometimes you would block your face. For example, when you said minute or something, you actually had your hand in front of your face. And because of the camera angle, it looked really big. So maybe put the gesture on the side a little bit. Those are minor things. Overall, in terms of storytelling, I wanted to mention that I loved your vocal variety. You normally have generally fast pace, but there were times when you would slow down and you would quiet down and you would have your hands down, no gestures, you would have them down. That was very powerful. So if that you use it to enhance the story, that will work really well. So again, I liked your title. I liked how you started, and I love how you tied it up at the end. Just a couple of points. Make sure that you help us to see the timeline to understand where the story is going. And second, be careful with the hand gestures. Sometimes. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Michelle. I would like to ask now the grammarian to give her report.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you all of you for this vivacious meeting. I was so in the topic, so listening to your answers that I wasn't really able to make a lot of notes of what to improve, but I took some notes about what I found very beautiful from you. For example, at the beginning with Deja, tell me about where you are from and why you love it. I found this very, very nice. Then Jasmine, as an counter, she was responsible to count the words that break the flow of the speech. I like this way to put it. And then Julie, English is my fourth language. I like this because of this international environment that we have in this club. And then the title of Tiger speech, we have more to give. I think this can be adapted to many areas of our life. And then another phrase from the speech, we turn a club into an online success. And we have an haha counter. It tells a lot about how fun it is to be in these meetings. Then another phrase from Christina about impromptu speeches. We go back home and have a brilliant idea of what we failed to say on the spot. It's also a very good way to put how the practice for impromptu speeches help. And then I think it was Seni. There are special eating rules in Indonesia, and you should try it. I really like it, about being open-minded. And then Jasmine, if we connect to the topic, we can talk losing track of the time. That's totally true. Then something to improve, I only found one thing. It is about the word comfortable. I hear it a couple of times. Someone once told me the correct pronunciation is like in 2 syllables. So comfortable, comfortable. So it's just something very small. And then the use of the word of the day. I have Deja with 2 times, Deb 1 time, and Jasmine 1 time. And this is my report. Back to you, Julie.
Thank you. I would like to hear now about our filler words from Jasmine.
Thank you so much, Julie. I would just bring up where things were like evidently evident because I was not paying detailed attention, but I believe that's the concept of our counter. If something like really comes up, or this speaker broke in between, that's the real counting. To begin with, our speaker disappointed us because he used it 3 times. He said AH and he said haha. So but it was done in the right spirit. So Tiger, you couldn't get the joke, but yes, you used the filler word 3 times. The senior guest is also senior in the usage of the word during the impromptu speech. So I would request senior guests to control a little bit. And I noticed that Christina, to my surprise, just during when she had to repeat, I think one of the, Mary asked her to repeat, and then she just, because she had to start in impromptu, like she used a couple of words in the beginning. And besides that, Sarah, I just noticed a couple of breaks in between your speech when you were just giving your grammarian report. And these were the things that came to my ears even without paying attention. So I just bring it up. And I know I did not do a great job, but that's how it is. And I give it back to you, General Evaluator.
So our meeting started in time. Thank you, Tiger, for opening it. And then I thank the Toastmaster of the day. Then Jasmine asked many guests to tell about themselves and gave it to the Toastmaster of the day. And I think everything went very smoothly today. So we had a very full meeting. The only problem for me is that I don't eat spicy food. So all of you who invited people to eat spicy, I will not go there. And back to you, Jasmine.
Thank you, General Evaluator. It's Toastmaster of the day who take over. Yeah.
Thank you, Julie, for your excellent evaluation of our speech, table topics, and meeting overall. Thank you all. This was exactly what I was hoping for when I came up with today's meeting theme. I love the entire meeting and I'm so very proud of everyone. Now I will turn it over to our president, Yasmin Telwala, to wrap up our meeting.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the day. Can we all just give a round of applause to the Toastmaster of the day for picking up a subject which is so pertinent to our club in the sense that diversity. And Deja, I'm just wondering why we never had a theme around the subject earlier. So thank you. It was just mind-boggling to see the diversity that we have around. We always knew it, but to know more about the places where we come from. Absolutely loved the theme and absolutely loved the meeting, the participants, because we could see that many of our members are back and many of our previous members who are currently maybe perhaps not the members are also here with us. And the guests, many new guests, Dave, we are very glad that you're here and we would love to have your feedback. How do you feel about our meeting?
I am very impressed. You are a vivacious group and I love this multicultural. You've got people from everywhere, and I plan to come back. I think this is great. This is fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Dev. You know, the prices, the most valuable thing for any club would be when the guests feel like to come back. And this is so close to our heart. This is our reward. We would love to have you back. Please feel free to come and join us. We are always the same day, same time, using the same link. I have Stephen with us, and I know that Stephen perhaps have never been to a Toastmaster meeting. Stephen, how do you feel towards the end? Do you have anything to share with us?
Yes, so I love this kind of meeting, so much. So I also learn a lot from your guys. So I really appreciate.
Thank you, Stephen. We really appreciate that you are awake, given it's midnight there. And this really shows that you're also keen in developing these type of skills. And if so, if you are looking for a platform where you can have more, positive environment and build up on your skills, then Toastmaster is the platform. And Roseburg speakers, consider Roseburg speaker Storytellers as one of your own. And please feel free to come and join us whenever you can. We haven't heard from Akib. Akib, are you here with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Akib, you are perhaps the senior most guest here. So on your seniority experience, what do you feel about our meeting today? Anything you would like to share?
A wonderful idea to ask people and talk about their places. And I mean, when you spoke about Udaipur, I knew everything, but other locations were new to me and I could learn a lot of stuff. So it's like it took very less effort to prep as a TMOD, and there was a lot of content coming from all across. So which again in turn into a lot of interaction among the members. So a great way of conducting TMOD session, I would say.
I agree to you in totality. I have never heard about the places we come from and the food. Oh my God. Can we have food? Can there be online services like on virtually on Zoom to share food, and we can come and at least prepare the food and show how that food looks like? Yeah, who is the expert? Stephen is the digital expert. Can you get this technology in where we can share food online, just like extend hand and eat food? So amazing. I just loved it. And I still have 1 minute before I can officially close the meeting. And I see that maybe I like to give the floor to Kunang, if she would like to share anything with us. Kunang, how do you feel now? How do you feel after this Toastmasters journey for like 2 years? What change do you see in yourself? Kunang? Okay, she's busy eating. I think she got lost in the mode of like sharing food virtually. She's too busy eating. Seni, we hope you will be able to join us almost more often now, almost every time. Okay, I think it's the digital world. So, and we had Selena in the beginning. Unfortunately, she had to go off for her school. But in case, Selena, you are watching this video, you are always welcome to our club. With this, I'm going to officially adjourn the meeting, but definitely we stay together and we share more our experiences. So I hereby officially close the meeting.